Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Wilcots. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page here at Facebook, where I do a live stream every day. Well, practically every day, based on the card draw that I do in the mornings. And so today is Tuesday, November 20th, and we call it Terrific Tuesday here at Star Nations, or at least I do, because we have so many shows on Tuesdays, live stream shows. And this one, I usually do what's called a native live stream, and it's not because I'm Native American. That's native live stream is a Facebook term. That means that we're not using a third-party app like BeLive TV, which is what I'm using right now. And the reason why is because I was having a hard time getting on the live stream from the native video. And so we'll see how this is going to go. I don't know if it's my internet or if it's Mercury retrograde or what the deal is, but so that's why I'm coming to you just a little bit differently than you would normally see. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like on your end at all. Hey, Christine, one of my sisters is in the house. Hello, Christine. All right, I'm taking my phone and I am going to like and share the live stream broadcast before we get rolling with the cards. And it doesn't take very long. And oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. So at least I know that things are working, right? And that you guys can see me. So I am going to post to my newsfeed and just to let my friends know, right, that I'm live streaming. And I would appreciate it if you could share as well and like. We know that Facebook really likes and also the shares, and that helps us to be in the newsfeed more often, which means that people who are looking for the contents of our shows, we're easier to find, right? All right, so I'm live streaming right now. Please join me. There we go. All right. There we go. And then I'm going to share to the closed groups at Star Nations, the radio network group, and also the Academy. So it's just going to take me a minute here, a second, hopefully, a few seconds. Doesn't take long. And please join me. All right, now we make sure I got the right groups here. And I say that every day because I have bifocals, and sometimes, when you look down and you look up, it's just a little blurry sometimes. All right, there we go. We're set. We're set. Okay, so Christine's here with us. Julie Shumway Hill, hello. And she says, hello, Neshi. Now that I'm using BeLive, for those people who maybe that you don't catch the Star Nations Radio Network live stream shows, when we all use the BeLive app for that, and I'll show you. We can actually put your messages up, and so if you don't actually make a comment, I don't necessarily even know you're there when I'm using the BeLive. So just tell me hi. Thank you, Christine. She says, yes, can see and hear. Absolutely good. Hey, good afternoon, Roberta. Roberta, I do have a place that we can go for tea here in Toma. I just have to, I'm going to drive by it later this afternoon when I go pick up George from puppy daycare. I don't remember the name of it. It's relatively new. And so we'll do that. Hey, Mervyn Kelly is here. Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here with us, Mervyn. Nellie. And Anne is here. Hi, Anne. And Roberta said she shared. Thank you so much, Roberta. I appreciate that. Hey, Stephanie's here too. She says, hi, Neshi. Great day so far on my end. I'm glad. Yay. That's a good thing. I had a very interesting morning. Yeah. I had to take George into puppy daycare this morning, and he was all raring to go, right? Which is good because sometimes I have to literally drag him out of bed for him to get there by 8:30. Oh, good, Roberta. Good. She says, "Perfect. Looking forward. Yeah, we're going to spend a little tea time together." Um, so anyway, I took him in, came home, did the card draw, right, and uh, and then about that time it was ready to get mom ready to go to her appointment that she had this morning, and that appointment lasted a lot longer than it usually does. It's usually 30 minutes in and out. Boom, right? Not today. An hour and some minutes later, we're finally walking out of that office. And yeah, and the hearing test, because they do it every year, right? They check her hearing every year to see if there's any changes, and so they can adjust her hearing aids. And between mom chatting it up with the technician, me answering questions, and him actually doing the test, it took a lot longer. Yeah. And so my morning was kind of, you know how sometimes you get a routine, and when the routine is disrupted, you kind of go, well, wait, what do I have to do again? That was me this morning. Oh, hey Maggie, so glad you're here. I'm actually maybe maybe we're going to be using Be Live for the afternoon live stream. I was trying to do it very kind of informal and just we're just kind of hanging out together, right? But I kind of miss using Be Live. It's kind of nice to be able to show your comments and say, who's all here, right? And I still have my phone, so I can still say hi to people who maybe just be tuning in and they're not really making a comment, but at least I can say hello to you too, right? Somebody said, when we do it's kind of like either a roll call when we're saying who's in the chat, or maybe it's kind of more like romper room, for those of us who remember what romper room is. Okay, so do you remember yesterday when we had the cards and we were talking about shape shifter, right? And we were talking about shifting into either the actual animal itself or the qualities of our power animal or totem, right? And I think it was Julie Hill who said, was it Julie? No, yours was Crow. It was Julie Hedges that had said something about seeing eagles, right? And we talked a little bit about that. Well, guess who shows up in this morning's card draw? Yep, eagle. I gotta do something here. I gotta increase my. There we go. All right. There we go. Isn't that a gorgeous eagle depiction? Yeah, eagle. It says, see from a higher perspective. See from a higher perspective. And we kind of talked a little bit about that yesterday afternoon. And you have to kind of see right down here, right? It looks like an eye, doesn't it? It looks like an eye. Somebody with blue eyes. Yeah. And, from a Native American point of view, or at least a cultural, we'll put it that, a cultural point of view, is that eagle is very highly honored and respected and cherished, valuable. Whenever you go to a powwow, if you've ever been to one, you'll see men usually with a full bonnet headdress on, and those are usually all eagle feathers and usually just tail feathers. Okay. And that has a lot to do with the songs that they sing and the drumming that they do, is that they're that connection to the creator. But the boar bonnet actually is also about being a warrior. And the war bonnet depicts or symbolism of their bravery, their courage, and their leadership. All right. So, when you're in that kind of position, you really want to have guidance as high vibration as possible for guidance. That's a good way to do it, right? And then dancers, you'll see the women wearing usually a single feather. In my culture, we have it up, and it's sitting right next to the crown chakra. Okay. Other nations, other tribal nations, you'll see maybe a plume or a smaller eagle feather that's tied to their hair, and it's hanging down. Right. You'll also see men, males, I should say, because boys will do it too, have them too, is that they wear what's called a bustle, and it sits at waist level on their back, kind of like in their low back area. Okay. And many times, not all dancers, but many times they're more traditional dancers. They will have a full eagle feather bustle. There's a lot of eagle feathers on it. And they're more traditional dancers. And those are the dancers sometimes you'll see dancing counterclockwise. Depending on the nation and what their beliefs are, those that are dancing counterclockwise are actually saying prayers, dancing and praying, and usually praying for humanity, more than just themselves. Okay, it's for the people, their relatives, blood relatives, or all relatives. So the eagle is really highly honored and held in high esteem in almost all native nations across Turtle Island. That's one of the common threads that we have. And not everybody can have an eagle feather. Not everybody can. In the old days, when I was a kid, back in the 60s and 70s, this is the way it used to be, is that the only way that you had an eagle feather is if it was gifted to you through ceremony from a warrior. Yeah. And now today, you can get an eagle feather from just about anybody. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, that's through the Ho-Chunk culture and the Potawatomi culture. Now there's over 568 tribal nations on Turtle Island, and so there's variations within each one of those. And there's many, many more nations that aren't recognized by the federal government. So I can only imagine the differences, slight differences. Maggie has something to say about eagle feathers. She says, in my culture, the feathers are symbolic of life path and may be up or down in different colors at a time. Yeah. And the eagle feather is specific, right? Very specific to the kind of dancer it is or the kind of leadership it is. There are other feathers that are worn other than the eagle feather. A lot of times they'll use turkey mixed in with other bird feathers. And you're right, they're all very symbolic of different things. Yeah. Thanks for that, Maggie. I'm glad you shared that. And Nellie is saying, thank you for posting the Potawatomi videos. They were fascinating. Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. It's kind of funny. Did I post the one about the eagle feather song? Did I post that one? I meant to. I don't remember if I did or not. But it was funny that the eagle feather song, I saw that and I listened to it, and it was like, no, that was the name of the drum. They were doing the Potawatomi flag song. That was it. And let me tell you, I love that song. And every time I hear it, I just have this pull to get up and dance. And honoring the eagle feathers on the staff, because that is our flag. It's not a material flag. It's the eagle feather staff is our flag. Yep. Mm-hmm. And Maggie says, I'm half Choctaw. Oh, wow. Thanks for sharing. Choctaw. Mm-hmm. Now, and the other half, she says, is Irish. That happens a lot, doesn't it, over there on the East Coast? Now, Choctaw did, and we're part of the nations in the southeastern part of the United States. Maggie, if you could help us with the geographic location, traditional location, not the removal location. If you could, that would be helpful for those of us that aren't familiar with Choctaw, right? All right. So I'd appreciate that because right, November is Native American Heritage Month, and here in the United States, and it's a chance for us to be able to share information about Native America, right? About the indigenous people here, and so it's a good time. It's a good time to do that. Okay, so Maggie's saying Black Hills. Okay. Okay. It was my understanding, and you should know I'm not Choctaw, so you should know where your people are from. But Black Hills, I thought were Oceti Sakowee territory, the Great Sioux Nation territory. Yeah, and Mississippi and Oklahoma, she says. Now, see, that is where my memory takes me. Is to Mississippi, and in the removal times, having to do that long walk or the railroad ride to Oklahoma. That's the piece that I remember. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Maggie, for sharing. Thank you. And there are a lot of Native Americans who have Irish and Scottish blood intermixed with it. And so in Potawatomi, we have a lot of French Canadian, a lot of French blood. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? All right. So let's talk a little bit about the eagle. We'll see what author Kyle Gray has to say about the eagle card, and what kind of the energy that it holds for us today. It holds for us today. Here we go. It says, see from a higher perspective. The message: look at things from a different angle. Fly higher and see new possibilities. Fly higher and see new possibilities. And yesterday when we were talking about the shapeshifter, it was being able to see through the eyes of your power animal or your totem, right? And so it's seen a situation or an event from another perspective. And so this is very similar. But what this message is to look at it from a higher perspective. And when we go higher, we can see more, right? We can see more of the event, the situation. And when we go higher, we can even talk about a higher vibration or a higher frequency to see the same situation. Because when you have a different angle of perspective, you have more information, right? You have more information to understand what's really going on. When we're looking at it from our perspective, closer to the ground and very close to the situation, a lot of times we get the forest and the tree thing, right? That we're so immersed into it that we don't see other perspectives. We kind of see it with blinders on. We can only see in one direction, right? Now, we're human, right? We're two-legged. And so we have that humanness in us that when we're in the situation or in the event, sometimes it's difficult for us to make that shift and consciously make the decision to see it from a higher perspective, a broader perspective. Try to see the whole picture rather than just a small piece of it, or to understand it from a higher frequency or vibration, right? And because the eagle does fly so high, it's one of the reasons why in Native America that we believe that the eagle flies so high and flies closer to the Creator, that our prayers can be taken closer, and they're the messenger. They're between us and the Creator, right? To take our prayers, our message to the Creator. Yeah. But the eagle does fly very high altitude. And they have keen eyesight, don't they? Because they can fly really high and they can go after their prey for their breakfast, lunch, or dinner. to sustain themselves, right? Yeah. Hmm. What about that? When we look at a situation, an event that is uncomfortable for us on the ground, when we're right in it, and sometimes maybe we're angry or maybe we're afraid or, um, geez, we just want to be right. We want to prove we're right. And when we take the eagle perspective, um, we're I'm feeling like we're actually feeding our soul. It's spirit food when we're able to take in the information from a higher perspective, a higher vibration, to understand what's really going on with some clarity. See where the growth, our soul growth lies in that situation. And maybe even be more compassionate and forgiving. Whereas when we're in our two-leggedness, when we're in it on the ground, um, we can get to the forgiveness and we can get to the compassion, but it might take us a bit longer, just a little bit longer to get there, because we have to go through the emotions, we have to go through the emotional body, and then the mental body too, right? Because we have our ego in it, right? So when we fly high, we can see it from a different perspective. Alrighty, let's see, get caught up here. Maggie said she shared, and Stephanie, yay, Stephanie, she shared a link with us. Google Images. All right. I don't know what that is. Tell us what that was, Stephanie. Okay. And Maggie, many shared the Black Hills and Badlands. Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Mm. And the powwows have such a lovely energy. Is there a powwow local to Western Wisconsin on the calendar? Well, there is the powwow in the summer in La Crosse, usually connected to UW La Crosse. And the Ho-Chunk Nation, this is their ancestral territory through here. And so you'll have powwows at Black River Falls. They do that 3 times a year at least. Memorial Day, Labor Day, and then there is the Red Cloud powwow in July. So those 3. Ho-Chunk also has a powwow in August near Baraboo, near their casino, actually, between Lake Delton and Baraboo. And then, of course, there's always the Ojibwa or the Anishinaabe powwows with the Lakota Ray and Lac du Flambeau. That's going a little bit further north, though, than La Crosse. If you go across the river, the Mississippi, to Winona, there is a powwow there every September that's put on by the Unity. Oh, shoot, I forgot the name of it. My niece had a lot to do with it. She used to volunteer, and she was the coordinator for like 2 or 3 years. But so yes, there's local powwows here for sure. Powwow.com, powwow, is it powwow is plural? Could be plural. .com will have a whole bunch of them listed. Powwows.com. Stephanie, the tribal nations of North America map, native names only, indigenous. Okay, yep. Thank you. Yeah, that is, I interviewed him. Aaron, forgot his last name. It'll come to me. Anyway, I interviewed him a couple years ago. Here's the link for it. Yeah. Yeah, there's when you talk about Native nations in the United States, there's ancestral land, and then there is the removal land, and usually the removal has to do with where their reservation is at when they were removed in the 1800s, 1700s to from their ancestral lands to wherever the federal government wanted to put us, right? And so we have ties to both, really. We have ties to both. Stephanie saying, my computer is being finicky. I know. Mine all morning when I was on it, because otherwise I was in the car. Lots of waiting time for things to load. And like I said, I don't know if it was my internet connection or if it's just Mercury retrograde, maybe. All right, let's finish up the eagle, what Kyle has to say. He says, in animal medicine, both Native American and Celtic, the eagle draws his power and strength from the sun. He is a powerful, strong, and courageous guide who is able to see for miles. He approaches all things with intelligence, grace, and poise, and has the capacity to make a plan from a higher space before putting it into action. When the eagle card appears in a reading, it shows that you have a real ability to take things higher and move beyond the limitations of your ego and your selfish desires. So, in other words, your humanness, right? To see it from our higher self, from our soul. An eagle can help us do that. And I can bet you anything, well, almost anything, that we have all experienced an event, a situation in our lives where we came from our ego to deal with the situation. And you might have dealt with it, but it may not have been of a higher vibration, right? Yeah, because sometimes, in our needing to be right, a lot of times we'll do it at almost any cost. So in other words, you might send that email that is less than friendly, a lot of capitalized words or a lot of exclamation points. Yeah. And usually, you get either no response, which is probably the best thing, or the response you get is one just like it in return. And so you have this energy bouncing back and forth between you and someone else that is just adding fuel to the fire, right? Rather than sitting down as calmly as you can and to listen to each other. You might not agree, but at least you would have a sense of understanding where they're coming from, right? And if necessary, identifying what you may have done and apologizing for it, or being able to see it with a little bit more compassion. Yeah. But, being two-legged, sometimes that just takes time. Just takes time. And let me tell you, being a triple Sagittarian and all that fire, I've had to learn how to master that and not suppress my reaction in all its forms. Hopefully, I try to be as healthy as possible with it. But to acknowledge, okay, I'm really pissed off. Or, man, did that hurt my feelings? Or even have a good cry about it, right? I had to learn not to suppress it. And I had to learn how to express it in a good way. Because in my 20s and my late teens, expressing it was not good. I really had to learn how, and actually one time my mom actually said this to me. She said, you have to be more careful with what you say and how you say it. Because once it's out of your mouth, an apology and I'm sorry doesn't always make it better. It doesn't take away the sting. It doesn't take away the hurt. It will an apology may actually be not taken because of what you said, right? Yeah, I had to think about that for a lot of years, a lot of years, like maybe a decade or more. Yep. So that's youth, right? But when you're still doing it in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s, then you're really out of balance. Now, is that a judgment? Maybe, but I'm talking about myself, judging myself. That's why it took some time. It took some time to do some healing around it, but also to learn how to sit in the silence and to listen and to become a good listener, attentive listening. Yeah. So I think each one of us has um, the life lessons around that, right? And to be able to take on the energy to tap in, to call on eagle medicine to help us to see the situation from a higher perspective, not just from an altitude, to see the bigger picture, right? Um, but also from a higher vibration or a higher frequency perspective. And that's what I meant about feeding our soul. It's spirit food. When we do that, when we go to that higher vibration or that higher frequency, to look at the situation, to try to understand it from a higher perspective. We're going to our soul self, right? Our soul self, our soul. Yeah. Yeah. And here's Roberta saying, LOL, wow. Especially when you may know button pushers. Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. Or or it's not, sometimes I guess what we have to do is kind of take a pause, right? Take a pause, take a breath. And because you have the button pushers and those people who know your buttons, right? And there's others who may not know your buttons, but they're trying, to do the guilt thing, to make you feel guilty, um, maybe to be passive aggressive, um, the sneak attacks, whether they're hopefully they're not physical, but the verbal or the and social media. Oh my gosh, it's so easy to put something out there and run away, right? To say something kind of snide or snarky. I was trying to think of the word snarky, and make that comment and post it and go away, and ghost. Isn't that what they're calling that now? Ghosting is that, you disappeared. Yeah. Social media. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Yeah. And personally, and it doesn't happen all the time. I wish it did. When there's a situation, an event, and it makes you uncomfortable, and the other person, I don't know, maybe they've clammed up and they don't want to talk or something like that, and you try to give them space, but I would really prefer to be able to sit down and have a conversation, even if it's over the phone. It'd even be better if you could do it in person or even by Skype, to be able to see each other, and talk about it, and um, maybe come and realize it's like, yeah, no, they misunderstood. It's like, okay, let me see if I can phrase this differently. Or if you can't, and they didn't misunderstand you, okay, then at least you have an understanding, right? I think there's soul growth in that. Yeah, and I know that there's a belief in that, you should, whatever situation you deem as low vibration or drama, is to walk away from it. And it's like, what's it saying? Not my circus, not my monkeys, right? I don't know who came up with that one. It was pretty funny. Um, but I really do think that if you can have some sort of conversation, it's okay if you're not going to agree, but at least you can walk away from it saying, you can still be acquaintances or friends, even knowing that you disagree, and that's okay. You're entitled to your own beliefs and your own opinion, as long as they're not hurting somebody else. Um, I think that there's soul growth in that. I don't get that very often, though, unfortunately, on the few occasions that I've had with situations with people. You offer them the opportunity to sit down and talk, and most of the time they'd rather not. And it's like, okay, then I guess we're not going to talk about it and learn from it together. We'll learn something, but maybe not together. And then that's mine then. Gotta let it go. I tried, and let's move forward, right? All that from Eagle. All of that from Eagle. There's just a little bit more that Kyle has to say here. He says that Eagle medicine swirls around you, encouraging you to recognize that your views or vision may be limited at the time. Is there a chance that your own desperation, needs, or ego could be blocking you from seeing the potential in your current situation? If there are other people involved, you're being guided to see things from everyone's perspective. If you are feeling the need for something to change, how can you take the higher road? Know that if you have intentions that aren't for the highest good, it will only hold you back. Eagle medicine can help you change this. The eagle brings the energy of healing and love directly from the heart of Father Sky and invites you to do all things from a place of love. I like that. To do all things from a place of love. Yeah. It's kind of interesting, though, don't you think, that this particular card would come up, and the closer we get to a holiday that we may be spending more time with people that we may not always see eye to eye with, right? And those people, mainly family, blood family, our family, who know us in a way that they do know those triggers, they do know those buttons. Um, yeah, and so we have an opportunity to look at it from a higher perspective, from a soul perspective, to call on Eagle to help us with that. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, we don't live in a perfect world. We don't. We're living in a world that is polarity, right? And it's also a master school, a PhD school. Actually, it's a PhD school. And so when those challenges come, you know, I say don't suppress our humanness. Notice it, acknowledge it, and try to shift it into a higher frequency, a higher vibration. And it might take us a day or two, or a week, or a month, or a year, whatever that is to be able to see it from our higher self, our higher self, and to what does he say? I want to make sure I get it right. Invite you to do all things from a place of love, from a place of love, honestly, from a place of love, because we have some people who talk about it, but their words don't match their actions, their behavior. So you want to make sure that the words and the behavior match, right? And that's called integrity in my definition. In my definition. And when we catch ourselves out of sync or out of alignment with that, that's on us, our individual. Okay, I need to do an attitude adjustment or something. Yeah. Yeah. Roberta, I may need a temporary eagle tattoo over the holidays. Yeah, either that or you have to carry maybe a picture of an eagle, or um, maybe you have a fetish, a stone fetish of an eagle that you can slip into your pocket, or um, you know, holding it close, maybe on a pendant or something. I don't know. You're onto something there though, Roberta. Why not, right? Okay, so here's the second card. I'm gonna make sure I watch my time here. Don't want to abuse the time thing for you guys. I just appreciate that you're here with me, right? All right. So here's the second card that came, and we've had this one before recently. The Shaolin Master. The Shaolin Master. It says, "Be graceful in movement and action." Be graceful in movement and action. And I love that dragon in the background. I like that. And that, he's got his fists up, but he's got that golden orb over his fist, and he also has a praying mantis on the other. So you can have strength, agility, courage, balance, still be in a prayerful way and connected to spirit, right? You can have strength. Yeah, and look how many prayer beads he has on his wrist. It's amazing. Shaolin. All right. Stephanie says, love that, Roberta. Yep, I think she's onto something there. Nellie says, I have a golden eagle feather. You do? Oh, that's got to be something. Yeah, we have golden eagles here. They're actually here now. They migrate here. They come across the Mississippi from about October to early spring. Because when the turkey vultures leave, because they're migratory here, when the turkey vultures leave is when the golden eagles fly in, because they have the same hunting territory. Okay. Yeah, to hold a golden eagle feather, I can just imagine what that would be like. The vibration of it. Also, a condor. Condor has big medicine too. Yeah. Nellie, do you guys have sea eagles there? Because you're pretty close to the ocean, right? Fairly close. Do you have sea eagles? Because Nellie lives in eastern England. I can't remember the name of the town. But sea eagles, that's another one. Yeah, wow is right, Stephanie. Anne is saying, be gentle with what we say and do towards others. Yes, that is the message, I believe. And if you want to throw in there the golden rule, or do unto others, right, as they do unto you. Yeah, I like the be kind, be gentle. But the thing is that you can be kind and you can be gentle, and you can still have a voice. That's what the Shaolin is about. You can be kind and gentle, but you can also still use your voice. And you can ask your team to let you know when it's the most appropriate time. And usually it's around boundaries, when you have to set a boundary or enforce a boundary. Because those people who like to push in and test your boundaries or blow past them, I think that is the most appropriate time. I don't know how you guys feel about it. That's the most appropriate time to use your voice. Yeah. And you can be kind and gentle about it, but you also have to be very very strong about it too. Yeah. There we go. And Stephanie's sharing condor medicine. Yeah. I was at a class once in California, and there was a guy up from Peru, and he was one of the breakout instructors, and he brought his condor eagle wing. It was a full wing. And we were sitting in there and we had to close our eyes. He was doing some sort of, we were doing some sort of exercise, like a meditation or something like that. And he started to use the wing. And there's a motion that's very shamanic and very holy person. And it's taking, whether it's your hand or a feather or a full wing, and you're doing either clockwise or counterclockwise, right? And you're standing in the middle of the room and you're moving the energy around. And what you're doing is you're creating a vortex. So it depends on what your intention is, right? If you're undoing something, then it's going to be counterclockwise. If it's to create something or to clear something, you're doing it in a clockwise motion, like a blessing or something like that. Okay. And so he was doing that with this condor wing, a full wing. And I tell you what, he started doing that, and I could feel this huge wave of energy in this condor medicine. And I knew it was a big bird. I knew that. And I opened my eyes flew open, and I'm looking right at him, and he's using this vortex, creating this vortex with this huge condor fan. And let me tell you, it was big medicine for sure. All right, let's look at Shaolin, the Shaolin priest or master. I mean, Shaolin master. If I can find Shaolin, I know you're here. There he is. It says, "Be graceful in movement and action, slow and steady, breathe and flow, take a gentler approach." So, in other words, for me, that is okay. You had somebody say something or do something that kind of pushed one of those buttons, right? And so it really is to take a big, deep breath, and usually we're breathing from up here, shallow. And so if we take a big, deep breath in and we let it out slow, it helps us to relax. It's like, oh, great. All right. Something just happened. And so it gives you a time to pause. Gives you time to pause. And sometimes maybe even the pause is a physical one. Maybe you need to go for a walk or to go sit quietly outside or something like that, and that way you can talk to your spiritual team and ask for help. What just happened? Or she did it again. What do I do with this? How can I handle this better than I did the last time? Because I really want to learn the lesson that goes along with this as gracefully as I can, right? So it gives you time to talk to your team and to pause. And how can I do this in a graceful, more gentle, kind way, right? Okay. So the Shaolin Master calls forth the ninja within. Shaolin medicine is about learning to adapt to a situation and to tap into the energy running through your body and preserve it in order to release it at the right moment. Think about that one for a moment. To release it at the right moment. It also teaches subtlety, because when you're too forceful, you use too much energy, and that may not be supportive of what you're working on. That's a good one, huh? Hi, Michael. Michael's here with us. He says, hello. I know I haven't been here for a little while, but I wanted to say hello to you when I'm back. You remind me of a native council I had when I was like 16. Aw, well, good. I hope that was a positive experience for you. And, you're more than welcome to. I do this every afternoon, Michael. Live stream every afternoon, or just about every afternoon. Yeah. So I'm glad you're with us. And so the Shaolin says that you're being guided to flow like water, blow like air, and connect with your purest intentions. Don't feel you need to rush ahead. A gentler approach will be more fruitful and rewarding. Move with subtlety and grace. Reach high, but also ask yourself how you can move with the flow of life rather than pushing against it. All of this will be incredibly beneficial for what happens next. What happens next? So when you put these two together, these two cards together, we have see the eagle helping us to see something from a higher perspective, from our soul self, dealing with a situation, right? To see the bigger picture, to come from a higher vibration to understand it. And the Shaolin is asking us to be gentle. Don't rush into responding. Don't rush into something that will only make the situation worse. But to be gentle and to take the time to really perceive the situation, right? Perceive it. Yeah, there we go. I think today's was a pretty good one, huh? And like I said, as we're moving into this holiday season, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, that I'm going to start calling it the day of being thankfulness or the day of gratitude, because as a Native American, try to move away from the historical kind of situation with it. Talk about forgiveness and seeing it from a higher perspective, huh? And it gives us an opportunity to apply our gifts, to apply our talents and our skills, and to be able to do it in a graceful way, a more gentler way. Yeah, why not? You still get soul growth out of it. Don't need the drama. No, you don't have to do it with the drama at all. Yeah. It's Michael's saying thank you. You're very welcome, Michael. And Stephanie says, sound advice and sound thoughts on the cards today. Absolutely. And you're welcome. You're welcome. Actually, thank you to my team. She says, gratitude day. I like that. I know. Me too. All right. So one of the things I forgot to do yesterday is that on the third Monday, what I've been doing is giving away as a gift a past issue of Star Nations magazine, and to select somebody from the live chat, right? And I'm going to make sure I use my phone because I can't see everybody in the Be Live chat. If you didn't say anything to me as a comment, I don't know you're there. And so I'm going to use my phone to do that. 3, 6, 7, 8. Okay, well, Maggie Wade. Maggie, you get to receive a past issue of Star Nations magazine. And Maggie, if you could PM me your postal address, I'll get that into the mail to you within the next couple of days. And you can get a past issue of Star Nations magazine. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you them. Okay, hang on. Not all of them. I have like over 60 of them. They're heavy. They're heavy, heavy, heavy. Almost as heavy as George, Puppy George. So every month I ordered a print copy of Star Nations magazine. It's the spiritual magazine that we publish here at Star Nations. And so I read through it and I do my own critique on it, and we do notes and that kind of thing. And so I have all these issues, and they're not doing me any good sitting here collecting dust. And so here, see how many I have? So I thought, what nicer way than to gift them once a month from the live stream. So I've got many. So if you could, Maggie, send me your postal address, PM it to me, okay? Private message it to me, Messenger, and I will get I'll select one for you. And we'll get that in the mail. Yeah. So, Stephanie, thank you so much. She's saying if you want to check out the audio archives from way back, here's the link. Oh, when we were on Blog Talk Radio, there's a lot of good shows there, a lot of good content. And if you want to watch the current archives, this is the link to Star Nation's YouTube channel. Yeah, thank you. When we started doing live streams about a year ago. Yeah. All right. Speaking of live streams, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern is my weekly show called Communications from Home. And my guest is Karen Crowley Suzani. And Karen is one of our contributing writers to Star Nations magazine. She writes under the column Earth Energies. And we were texting back and forth about a month ago or so. And she's just recently joined us as a contributing writer this past summer. And so she says, have you heard any feedback from my articles? And she goes, I just want to make sure that I'm being helpful to people and knowing that it's needed, her articles. And I said, sometimes it's hard for us to know that from our magazines because unless somebody actually contacts me, we don't see those kind of comments unless they rate and review the magazine at Apple or at Google. And I said, but we can do something. I said, I can post a poll at Star Nations Radio Network and closed group and ask them what topic they would like us to talk about based on your articles. And so that's what I did and asked people to vote. And so the article that had the most votes was about sacred sites. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. You guys chose the topic, basically. And so Karen is going to be sharing more in depth about the sacred sites that she wrote about in her article and other sacred sites that she finds fascinating. So you can join me tonight at 8 p.m. Star Nation's magazine, radio network, and publishing, the main fan page where you're at right now. It's going to be a good discussion, I think. And then tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. And that's an hour and a half of healing. And she also does card draws. So if you like that kind of thing, doing a healing meditation and getting a card draw, join us 7 p.m. from Chakra Sessions fan page. And then tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern is Nature Adventures. And Nature Adventures, I'm a co-host with my good friend and sister, Minnie Kansman. And Minnie had this brilliant idea to do a show about poetry, poets and nature, because there's a lot of poetry about nature. And so we're going to be doing that tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern from Nature Adventures fan page. So if you love poetry or you're interested in how, what Minnie and I have to share about that, come and join us. Nature Adventures in the afternoon, right? And of course, this live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. Told you, we're always busy at Star Nations. So if the information today with the card draw resonated with you, please embrace it. Pick it up, embrace it. See how the energy of the day unfolds for you. And if it's helpful to you, right? If it didn't, that's okay. Doesn't have to. You can just let it alone. You don't have to do anything with the information if it didn't resonate with you. But maybe you might want to share the link with somebody that you know that would enjoy the conversation or has been looking for this kind of information, right? You could do that. Yeah, and with that, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I hope to see you later tonight for the Communications from Home live stream. But enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.